AI is amazing. It can really make your life so much easier. But most people only think of using it to reply to emails or helping them create a post, for their LinkedIn profile, what have you. But there's actually many other use cases, and one of them is when it comes to all things money and investing. And that's why in this video I want to show you how you can use it to your advantage to get the most out of your money using ChatGPT, because they actually just came out with a new iteration which is called ChatGPT-4o, and that really takes it to the whole new level, and I just think it becomes increasingly better. But again, without running you through all the features, there's so many different videos you can find on YouTube. I want to show you how I actually use it in my daily life to get the most out of the platform. But the cool thing is, now with the new upgrade, that's also going to be available in the coming days for all the free plans. So even if you don't want to pay, you're going to have access to the most powerful, fastest and most capable tool of ChatGPT yet. So honestly, I really recommend you to make it part of your daily life. Like AI or not, it's probably not going to go away, and that's why I think it's important to embrace it, to understand it and use it to your advantage. The first thing that you can use it for is coming up with an investment strategy, right? And you could either type it in here, or I actually like to dictate it, makes it just easier, and then I can get to work. Of course, make sure the model selected over here is indeed 4o, because previously it was 4, so with every iteration it gets better. So make sure you're in the newest, most advanced model. All right, let's get to work. Hi, I have 1,000 euros to invest. What would you recommend me to invest if I don't want to take much risk? All right, hit enter and I will get to work and hopefully come back with some good answers. You can see already coming up with a couple of answers over here. And one thing you will see, Kai's community, certain things you will already see, it knows me the way it replies, and that you can do in your settings, where you basically set it up how you want it to respond, very concise, very creative. You can basically customize your own ChatGPT in the settings. So I already have it set up the way I want it to reply, and also it knows me, right? You can add things to the memory. So next time in the future, it already has some more information about you, and the more it knows about you, the better the answer is going to be, obviously. Nobody can tell you exactly what to do with your money, but at least you get some good ideas, because sometimes you Google and you're going to find hundreds and hundreds of articles how to invest. Here you have a couple of very popular ones that you could look into. Now, obviously, there's a few to choose from. One that I always recommend, of course, index funds and ETFs. That's my favorite one that I invest in myself. But again, you see other opportunities to invest your money as well. Even it gives you a portfolio example, how you can split it up, right? All right, I would like to invest in the S&P 500, an ETF that I should be investing in. And if I have 1,000 euros, should I invest all of it at once, or should I spread it out? Let's see what it comes up with. It compliments me on my choice. In general, ChatGPT is always very uplifting and positive. For some people that's annoying, but I like positivity, so I quite like it. But yeah, overall it's always encouraging, which is quite interesting to see. And yeah, it can recommend you a couple of ETFs over here. Again, it didn't know that I'm based in Europe or not in the US. In this case, actually, that particular ETF may not be the best option because it's not really tax advantaged. So before you do that exercise, feed it as much information about you as possible so it can recommend you the right one. Because if I bought that one, that actually wouldn't be the smartest for me. In general, it's a very good ETF provider, but in this case, not the best one. And then here it even breaks it up. Lump sum investing versus dollar cost averaging. Should I put all of it at once, or spread it out over time? As I would always recommend as well, dollar cost averaging, total amount 1,000, spread out 200 euros over 5 months, makes perfect sense. So let's see if it can adjust accordingly. I'm actually not a US citizen. I'm living abroad in Dubai. Can you recommend me a different ETF that has better tax advantages for me? Let's see what it will say with that information on board. And does it make a switch? Actually, very good, right away. Now it's a UCITS ETF. That's a better tax advantage for me. And it shows me also to buy it in London. That's what I'm actually doing in US dollars. So it really got it right in many ways. In fact, I'm actually buying that very ETF over here just in US dollars. Really very nice. It shows you why to buy UCITS ETFs and tax efficiencies, accessibility and so on. Now another use case you could try to use ChatGPT for is to give you an analysis of your existing portfolio. So let's go ahead and look at my portfolio and then plug it into ChatGPT and see what it has to say about that. Right, so here we are inside my Interactive Brokers account, which is my stockbroker of choice, where I have my biggest portfolio. So let's go ahead and take a screenshot of that. 1 second, I'll just pull this up over here. And then you just bring it into ChatGPT with this little icon down here. You can add any attachments, PDFs, what have you. And then I'm going to ask it, please analyze my portfolio and give me honest opinion, considering you are an expert financial advisor. And please be very honest and frank, and also tell me what I can improve in my portfolio. Now let's see what it has to say over here. It will get to work, it will read, obviously, my portfolio, see it, and then give me some feedback. Here's a breakdown of the current holdings. It will kind of go through, analyze it, so that's correctly done, and that's good. So just it shows that it understood the data, and then gives observations. Strong exposure to the S&P 500, which is true. I have 2 different ETFs in there, one in dollars, one in euros, but basically the same investment vehicle, which is the S&P 500. So that makes a significant proportion of your portfolio, 52%. So it's a good observation. Now, I might keep it or not, but it's a good observation. Sector concentration, very heavy in tech with Google and Apple. Then in healthcare, provides exposure to healthcare, defense sector, but currently at a loss. That's true. I'm actually down on my Pfizer holding, so that's not really good. Real estate, I have a high concentration as well. I have 3 different real estate investment trusts, which gives me exposure to real estate. But the sector can provide stability and income through dividends, but it's also subject to high interest. And obviously, right now we're in a high interest environment. That's why I'm actually, at a loss, or not at a loss, but currently my stocks are down in that sector. Recommendations: increase international exposure. Currently, our portfolio is heavily US-centric. Actually, that's correct. I'm only investing in the US, and I made various videos about this, why I do that. But it says consider adding international ETFs to diversify geographically. Again, a lot of people like to diversify geographically, so that's actually a really good point, because it highlights the fact that I'm really concentrated in one country, which again, some people may not like. Look into ETFs that track emerging markets as well, because right now I'm mostly invested into developed countries. And it also says reevaluate underperforming assets. Pfizer and Realty Income are currently underperforming, and assess whether they're long-term holds for you or whether you want to move out, take a loss and reinvest it into something else. That's a good point. Actually, that's what I've been doing before. As I shared in one of my previous videos, I'm right now holding it because I have no pressure to sell, but I'm really hoping for them to come back, and then I will exit out of them, take the profit or at least break even, and then move the money into most likely another ETF. Dividend reinvesting plan, that's actually also a very smart point. For example, if you get dividends, make sure you automatically reinvest them rather than sitting around idly, not doing anything for you. So that's a good point. A lot of people forget. Some brokers support it, some brokers don't. But if your broker supports that, definitely turn on that feature. Lastly, a portfolio is well on the way for a strong foundation and broad market exposure. So yeah, honestly, really nice feedback, which I'm happy to hear. Obviously right now I feel comfortable with my portfolio, I'm on the right track, but it's nice to hear the perspective from ChatGPT. And then again, make with it what you want, but at least you get a different perspective, right? Don't take everything it tells you, 100%, but at least it's food for thought, and then you can do some more research or take that knowledge. And for example, join us in the Smart Money Club, which is an amazing platform where like-minded people and members inside can really share the portfolio, talk about all things investing, and we have different topics over here, and really get honest opinion on different things, ask any questions, which is an amazing platform. And if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link down in the description below. I'd love to have you inside the club. But yes, this is amazing that you can get this free of charge. I mean, other financial advisors charge you hundreds and hundreds of euros for a portfolio review. Here you get it free of charge. And once again, it's just one piece of the puzzle, right? But of course, you could also just ask it for stock advice. Do you think with the current prices and situation, is it a smart decision to buy Apple shares? Please take the latest data on Apple and recommend me whether I should buy it or not. So let's see what it says and what it comes back with, because it also gets better and better of using the latest information. Previously it was all outdated information, but now slowly ChatGPT is using more current information, which makes it more relevant when making really targeted decisions. You can see the latest data is from May 13th, so really quite updated. Not right now, but last day. So basically you can see here, it takes the latest information from all various sources, right? So it really breaks it down into financial performance, growth prospects, market considerations, and even gives you recommendations. Obviously, it cannot really tell you what to do and not with your money. Nobody can, but it gives you some recommendations. Once again, it crowdsources it from different sources out there, basically. But I think it's just a good point to keep in mind, strategic approach, what have you. So honestly, not too bad. In case you're not sure whether you should make an investment or not, once again, just pop it in here and see what it comes back with. Another thing that I always do every single month is track my entire income and of course expenditures plus all my net worth, and I track it in a Google Sheet, which you can also find down in the description below. It's free of charge. Definitely recommend you to do it. And here I really write down everything I make, but also I spend. For example, that's been my spending for the last few months. So what I could do also, take a screenshot once again of that. Of course, you could also just export it and then import it into ChatGPT directly, but I like taking screenshots. It's just easier, right? Then I hop back into ChatGPT, upload the file, and basically ask it, please analyze my spendings over the last few months. Give me your honest opinion on where I spend too much or too little, and also give me some recommendations on what I can do to reduce those costs. All right, and then we'll get to work. Let's see what I will come back with. Already you can see the monthly spending breakdown. Once again, just basically reading and analyzing the data it has on it, and then gives me some key observations and recommendations. Restaurants, significant monthly spend of around 800 euros on restaurants. Recommendation, cut down on dining out, aim for more home cooked meals more frequently. That's what I'm actually doing. Set a monthly limit for dining out, perhaps 400 euros. I don't want to do it, but if I wanted to, potentially I could do that. Groceries, consistent, but could be optimized, average around 800 per month. Recommendation, plan meals, create shopping lists. Again, smart little ideas that I could potentially implement into my daily life. Once again, it's really cool that you can see all these things, and for each of the lines, it will basically give you a little recommendation. That's just so powerful, and it goes back to tracking your expenditures in the first place, right? And honestly, it's just such a lifesaver, especially if you do this for a few years. You can really see how certain things go up or down, where you have certain spikes. So for me, I really recommend you guys to do that tracking, and from there, you can see what you can do. And next, let's try my subscriptions, which I actually track separately because there's so many of them, as you can see. So yeah, I had a separate table. And if you like that, this tool is such a game changer. You can see even on calendar, all my upcoming subscriptions, when they're due and what have you. So really, really powerful. If you want this template, I made it available free of charge. You'll find it in the video description down below. So once again, let's go ahead. Please analyze all my subscriptions and let me know where potentially I can save or where I spend too much. I value your honest opinion. And again, you can give it as much context as you want. The more you give it, the better it can, respond. If you want it to be very critical, or you want it to be supportive, what have you, you can really prime it so ChatGPT can come back with the best possible answer that helps you, right? The less it knows about you, the more generic the answer will be. Once again, it just reads everything through, analyzes it, and from there, it will give you your targeted recommendation that really makes sense for you. Now here, to be honest, it didn't do the best of jobs because summary of potential savings is just kind of randomly dropped certain services in there without obviously knowing the context, right? It didn't go ahead and say, why do I, for example, need Circle or ManyChats or certain, subscriptions? What is the reason for them? So it could have asked me about that. I could explain, certain things, why I need them or not. So here, it did an average job. But once again, I could prime it further and discuss further to have a more discussion whether I need a certain thing. Or for example, I could ask for Circle alternatives, and then it would provide me alternatives that might be cheaper. For example, cheaper Circle alternatives, and I would go out there and look for that. So that could be interesting as well. So you can see so many powerful use cases that you can really use for your finances. And I think it's amazing. The more you start using it, the more you get into the habit. In the beginning, I just used it time to time, but now I actively make sure first I check with ChatGPT and then I try different things, because that way you really get into the habit of it. And one more cool thing that they came out with, improvement on the app, that you can actually talk to it. Right now I can't show you because everybody's using it. It's just dropped yesterday. The service is really slow and often the servers are not available. But in general, the conversation you can now have with ChatGPT, it's really super fast, because previously there was a long lag every time you ask something, and it becomes really human interaction. It's unbelievable. Really recommend you download the app. You can have a proper conversation with ChatGPT, and in a couple of days, apparently, they will also be adding visual conversations. So you could basically, have a conversation with a camera with ChatGPT, and then it will basically film yourself and can interact. Basically, ChatGPT could see where I'm right now. It could analyze the situation. That means I could also just point it at my computer and ask certain questions about what I see right now on the screen, and it could guide me on there. So really incredible. And that's just what I mean, right? Rather than saying, that's all bad and what have you, embrace technology for your own advantage. One other amazing example that I can recommend you, what I've done, when I signed my apartment, there was a huge mortgage contract that we got from the bank. It was even a different language. It was in Lithuanian, which I don't understand. And yeah, it was massive. I think it was 60 pages or something. So I had no idea, what I'm signing. So what I did, I basically fed it into ChatGPT and asked it to summarize me the most important takeaways. And honestly, it came back with some really valid questions, which I then asked the bank. They were even amazed. They said, we never heard these questions before, but they clarified it. And then I felt comfortable to sign the contract. But I now do this for all the contracts. Again, some people may not feel 100% comfortable with that, but I say, I'd rather be comfortable knowing what's inside the contract and not wasting hours and hours reading through it or spending money on lawyers to give me their opinion. That way I get really amazing opinion. Trust me, it really does a good job. It highlights the most important things, and then I can sign the contract accordingly. So these are some of the use cases as well as get analysis and feedback from ChatGPT on so many different things. For example, when I just launched my new Smart Money Club online membership, I had a lot of traffic to my website, and only some of the people actually convert to becoming paying members. So in the end, I wasn't sure, is it a good percentage, is it not? So what I did is took a screenshot of all the traffic from all the different sources that I had on my website, fed it into ChatGPT, and then also a screenshot of the actual materialized members and ask it, give me your honest opinion. Is it a good conversion ratio? What can I do better? I then linked it to my website so it could go through and see my funnel, so to say, how the people coming in, is there good conversion? And it gave me so many great insights. So you can really see how many use cases it has. So you can really see the only limitation is the questions you ask it. So I really think it's a powerful tool to elevate your overall efficiency and output. And honestly, I really couldn't live without it anymore. And in my previous life as a luxury hotel general manager, I had more than 100 people in my team and I could delegate everything, right? So I always had something for everything. But right now, as a one-man show, I have to do everything. So you really have to be very efficient. And for that, I really use ChatGPT for so many things. And that way, I don't have to hire any people. I may have to add some in the future, but right now, through automation, which I do with Zapier as well, that's another tool I can feature in another video that helps me to put all the various apps together and have automations. I obviously use ChatGPT as the brain that powers it behind my brain, of course. So really just to multiply yourself and make yourself more efficient. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then check out this video over here next. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.